All right, so looking kind of where we're going ahead from here, you kind of did a quick review of graphing, and we want to start to try to connect the graphing piece and looking at a graph and understanding what it's telling us about the rate or the ratio that's being represented. So today we're going to work on kind of connecting unit rates, constant of proportionality, tables to what that kind of looks like on a graph and start to build that knowledge base. So on this picture, you can go ahead and right click, save to keep, open a new tab. There's my thing there. I can click and click again so I get the pen. And let's go ahead and kind of fill this out. So the problem says that the student pays $12.50 for 10 headbands, so $12.50 to buy 10. And the first question that it asks us is, what is the unit rate? So the unit rate is our number one, right? And if you kind of look to the table, we're looking at one headband. So that means we're going to try to do, oops, here, we'll go ahead and clear that out there just so you can see that. We're going to go ahead and do then how many dollars it is for one headband. So my dollars number is $12.50 and my headband is 10. And when I divide those out, so I'm going to type that in my calculator, I get 125. So that's telling me that it costs $1.25 to buy one headband. So the next thing says to fill in the table. So we know if you buy 0 headbands, how much are we going to have to pay? Well, $0 because you didn't get anything. If you buy one headband, well, we just figured that out. That was the unit rate or our constant of proportionality rate. So that was 125. So how do I get 2 headbands? Well, 1 to get to 2 is times 2. So 125 times 2 would be 250. And 1 to get to 3 is times 3. So 125 times 3 would be 375. And 1 to get to 4 is times 4. So 125 times 4 would be 5. And 1 to get to 5 is times 5. So 125 times 5 is 625. And 1 to get to 6 is times 6. So 125 times 6 gives me 750. So that's kind of something that we've done previously. The last thing, or this new connection, is looking at what it looks like on the graph. So it says graph the unit rate by using the table. I'm going to make my dot a little bigger so it's easier to see on the graph then. So using the table, we could just do these points. So it told us headbands are going to be X. So remember, this is your X-axis. So we could call it headbands, right? And the Y-axis is going to be dollars. So we could label that one. And then we'll make the points. So the first point in our table was 0, 0. So that goes right here. Now let's make this even a little bigger. Okay. 0, 0. Then my next point was 1 and then 125. So I'm going over 1 on my X and then up to 125. So it's like a little bit past where the 1 is. Then I need 2 and 250. So about halfway through, right? Because 2.5, halfway between 2 and 3. I need 3 and 375. So almost up to 4. I need 4 and 5. I need 5 and 625. So a little past 6. And I need 6 and 750. And that would represent my proportional relationship or what's happening with headbands. So things to kind of look at here. When it is a proportional relationship, we'll talk about this more later on, but start noticing the shape of the graph. So like it looks like a pretty good straight line to me. And start noticing what point always ends up in the graph. So that's something that we'll talk about in the next couple of days. But things you could start thinking about for now. Okay. And we can see a lot of this represented on the graph as well. If we try another one, same kind of idea. We have a soccer player that's going to run 12 miles during a 4-hour game. So if we want for 1 hour, we're going to do miles per hour to get the unit rate. So miles would be 12, hours would be 4, and I get 3. Then I'm going to complete the table. So right now, if you haven't already, you can kind of go ahead and pause it and see if you can finish the table without me doing it or before I do it. So go ahead, pause, and try it. Okay, so welcome back. Let's go ahead and check. So first point, we have 0. So if you go 0 hours, then we've run 0 miles. It didn't say he'd already run some in a game before. We already know our 1. We just did that. That was our unit rate. So that would be 3. 1 to get to 2 is times 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. 1 to get to 3 is times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 1 to get to 4 is times 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. 1 to get to 5 is times 5. So 3 times 5 is 15. 1 to get to 6 is times 6. So 3 times 6 is 18 and fills in my table. In this problem, or even in the last one, you can see it's going by the same number. But that is not what happens with a proportional relationship. It's only going by the same number because this is going by ones. If it wasn't going by ones, we wouldn't see it going by threes over here. So that's where you want to always check with your multiplication and division, not an adding thing. If I go back and kind of graph on this table here, I could label for myself. So it says X is going to be hours and Y is going to be miles. And I'm going to make these points. So let's make my thing a little bigger here to make it easier to do. So first one I have is 0, 0. Then when X is 1, Y is 3. So I find 1, 3, 2, 6, 3, 9. Well, we're kind of stuck where this graph isn't going to go any further. So that's about all I can represent on here. But that's the idea of where I would go. I keep putting my points. So again, looking at this, I can see it's a pretty straight line when we look at the picture there. If it's not, it's probably more to my error than the problem itself. And think about what point it has in common with the first one. That's where we're going to go there. So basic takeaways here. There's we're still talking unit rates and constant proportionalities, but we want to see them on the graph. So the other thing to think about is where is the unit rate on the graph for each one of these? Right now we can go ahead, go back, go to our math notebook. I'll go ahead and delete this out. Make a copy of this. Paste it and make it a little bigger for myself so I have my notes.